Good evening and welcome once again to BHA Live. It's our absolute pleasure to see you here tonight as we bring to you a special session, a town hall session that we're called Everything You Always Wanted to Know About BHA and You Didn't Know Who to Ask. So tonight we've got a really special bunch of guys. We've got your entire leadership team throughout the nation. We've got all of the National Council and your regional chairman here to talk to you, to talk you through some of the stuff that's going on in the organisation, to take your questions, hear from you, hear your opinions, and we'll see how things go. This is all about a chance for us to inform you firsthand about the sorts of things that your leadership team is doing. It's a great opportunity for you to ask any questions you like. The way that you'll do that is there's a chat section on your screen. You'll see a little chat button down the bottom of your screen. So jump in there and ask your questions through there. All right. There's a thing called Q&A. You can jump in there as well. We'll be keeping an eye on both of those functions. If you want to ask the panel a question, jump onto the Q&A session. All right. You can chat amongst yourselves. Have a lot of fun. Here we go. Let's introduce the National Council first. I will first start with our secretary, Mr. Trevor Roots. You're muted, Mr. Roots.
Unmuted myself. Thanks, Dan, for the opportunity. Yes, I'm the business. I guess I'm the business manager of the association. I deal with the correspondence, prepare records of council meetings and regional chairmen's meetings. Those meetings are held once a month. I also keep the records of the AGM and any special general meetings that we may have. I renew copyright licences. I register and maintain the record of clubs, choruses, quartets and members. A very important part of our job. I'm the returning officer for the AGM and any special general meeting, and I'm supported by an excellent admin officer, Judy Hattendorf. Thanks very much, Dan.
Thanks, Trevor. Good to hear from you. The next person I'd like to introduce you to is our treasurer, Mr. Trevor Brugger.
Thanks, Dan. Well, I don't know how to follow that. Ruthie was pretty comprehensive. All I can say is I look after everything money related with the organisation, whether that's paying the insurance or taking care of the membership renewals or, providing the council with some advice around what the membership renewal should be, or even down to, budgeting with some of our portfolios around some of the strategy that they want to implement. So yeah, that's me. Anything money related usually comes through my email inbox at some stage.
And Trevor, you're a CPA, practicing CPA with your own business?
Mate, CPA is a dirty word. I'm actually a chartered accountant.
Sorry.
That's an inside accountant's joke. I'm a chartered accountant, and we've got a firm on the coast of about nearly 100 staff now. So lovely. A few people.
Thanks, Trev. Hey, the next person I'd like to introduce you to is our guru in charge of marketing and development, Mr. Dan Beckett.
Thank you, Dan. Yes, I am Dan Beckett. I'm the VP of Marketing and Development. So the key role of my portfolio really, I guess, is to sell BHA both internally and externally. So one of the main things that I do is to look after all the BHA social media channels. So this includes Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. I also oversee all internal communications such as the In Harmony newsletter and also look after the BHA website. And on top of that, I also look after all merchandise for BHA, which means I'm responsible for setting up the Harmony Marketplace that you would have seen at the last few festivals. And I'll have a bit more to talk about that later tonight.
Great work, Dan. Thank you. Next up, we have the man in charge of all of our events in Barbershop Harmony Australia, Mr. Richard Bordick.
Oh, thanks for the lovely introduction, Dan. So I'm Richard, and as VP Events of this organisation, my focus is to have as many members as possible engaged in and enjoying the various events in the BHA calendar, in particular our annual festival. My job is to respond to what the members want out of those events, and I'm responsible for making sure that all events and activities, wherever members are gathered, are carried out extremely well. It sounds like a big job, but it is made a lot easier with the support of National Council members, regional chairmen and their boards, and lots of awesome club members on the ground in the various locations that BHA events are conducted.
Good on you, Richard. Thanks, mate. And last but not least, the man sporting a brand new beautiful haircut, our VP membership, Mr. Paul Adams.
Thanks, Dan. Yes, 12 weeks of COVID is just about over. I'm Paul Adams. I am based in Hobart. I'm a fellow of the Australian Human Resource Institute, winner of the Australian Human Resource Institute medal. At one point, I work as a director of people and culture in the education sector these days. My background was in management consulting and engineering. My focus is on membership, and my focus has perhaps previously in the past been seen as an administrative role around membership. But these days, I take a more strategic view of making sure we're considering the membership views and objectives in all of the strategic planning processes we do, making sure that we're absolutely engaging in our education and enjoyment of this wonderful, wonderful Enriching Australia Through Harmony platform that we're pursuing. So that's my role, and I'm really enjoying it. And we've got some exciting stuff coming through this year.
And my job is overall strategic vision and direction, I guess. It's my pleasure to absolutely be driven by this fine bunch of gentlemen I have around me to lead the singing experience of people all around the country. So what a joy it is to lead a team like this. So much skill and passion. Hey, because of the geography of Australia, we're very, very spread out. And so what we do is we have split the population up into regions. All around the country, and each region has its own regional chairman. So I'd like to introduce you to a few of those tonight. First, our Sunshine region, which covers Queensland and a little bit of New South Wales, just the top end, Mr. David Reid.
Thanks, Dan, and it's appropriate that the Sunshine region goes first. We are the best region in the country. We are also the largest region in the country. We currently have 9 registered choruses. And at our regional conventions, we can have up to 26 to 28 quartets. A lot of them form scratch quartets just for the convention, which is exactly what we should be doing. It's the kind of thing that we support up here. Our goal is really to get back and hopefully start singing together in maybe later this year, hopefully in the new year. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thanks, David. That's great. We've got an apology from our Eastern Region Chairman at the moment, Stuart 80, but we'll skip on down to Victoria, where we have Mr. Rob Lee.
I'll try that again.
That's better.
Yes, thank you, Dan.
Let this be a lesson to all of you.
Hello, everybody. I've been the chairman of the Victorian region since 2016, and I've been a barbershopper since 2008. The Victorian region is based in Melbourne, mostly on the eastern side of the city, but we have a small chorus on the western side. We have 2 clubs. We've got the Melbourne Airs and the Western Melbourne Men's Chorus. The Melbourne Airs Harmony Chorus Club has 4 choruses affiliated: the Melbourne Airs, Phoenix, Cordite and Vocal Infusion, which is a new mixed chorus, and 8 registered quartets. So 2 clubs, 5 choruses and 8 quartets is not bad for a small region. I believe the role of a regional chairperson is to foster the craft of barbershop harmony as much as possible and expand the number of people that are participating in our great craft, working closely with the national body. I'm genuinely excited about what is going to be presented tonight, and hope everybody falls in behind it all and makes it work.
Thanks very much, Rob. Let's jump across a little river there, across to Tasmania. We have our Tasmanian Region Chairman, Mr. Richard Gardam.
Thank you, Dan. We've been heading south, getting smaller. We're even smaller than the Victorian region. We actually consist of just the 1 club with 2 choruses, deep south. Most of you would have seen at conventions. And the Silvertones, who are a bunch of old guys that go around nursing homes, entertaining, when we can, the retired people of Hobart. So basically, I think we're probably the southernmost barbershop organisation in the world, but certainly in Australia. Some people may remember me. I was on the council for a couple of terms back around 2009-10, In Hobart, we have our competitive chorus, Deep South, and we have a handful of choruses, including, quartets, including a mixed quartet. We're enthusiastically welcoming you back every 10 years, it would seem. We've just had our last convention here in Hobart last year, and we hope to see you all again wherever we get together around the country sometime very soon. Thanks, Dan.
For those of you who had the chance to go down to Hobart last year for our festival, wasn't that a great time? All of the community engagement, that extra stuff that we did to take a convention from just a group of guys standing around singing to a festival where the entire community celebrated Barbershop in that place. We still have some great memories of that place, don't we? Hey, let's move across to Adelaide, where we've got Mr. Bill Schwenker in the central region.
Hi, thanks, Dan. Yeah, my name is Bill Schwenker. I've been barbershopping here in Adelaide, where all of our choruses are and all of our quartets in the greater Adelaide region for about 5 years now. It'll be 6 years this year. I've been barbershopping on and off since 1971. So I originally came from the U.S., as you can imagine from my accent, and I sang in a chorus in upstate New York called the Electric City Chorus, not the Electric City Barber Cats. Somebody stole our name, I guess, recently. We have 4 choruses in Adelaide, and another chorus that's just starting, a new mixed chorus. We also have about 12 quartets. As was previously mentioned, some of those quartets just decide to become quartets at convention time. So really, we only have maybe a half a dozen serious quartets in functioning right now. Our key activities are just really the regional contest, and we every year try to put on a regional show where all the choruses and quartets show their wares. Thanks for the opportunity of being regional chair. I've been 3 years now, and we try to talk up barbershop as much as we can here in the Adelaide region.
Thanks, Bill. And of course, saving the best for last over here in the wonder is Mr. Russell Jones.
Thanks, Dan. I was going to use that line, but you beat me to it.
I know the secret, mate.
I've been, my name is Russell Jones. I'm chairman of the Western region. I started singing barbershop back in the UK in 1987. And when I emigrated to Australia, the first thing I did, the first place I came was to the Gold Coast, to the first national convention. So I've been here from the start, I suppose. In the Western region here, we've got about 100 singers with 5 choruses and about 9 active quartets. There's a lot of very keen people over here to get started, and we're hoping to start rehearsals next Monday with VE and maybe the week after that with Baden Street. So we're looking forward to getting right back into it. That's great. Thanks, Dan. Back to you.
Thanks, Russell. So, guys, there you go. That's our regional chairman. And of all those regions, those chairmen and those different cities that everyone's in, we end up adding up to about 850 members around Australia in about 30 choruses and about 45 quartets during non-COVID time, of course. But that's a pretty good, healthy membership. And for those of you who are interested, our membership has been relatively steady for about 15 years. While we lose members, we still attract members. So that's a wonderful thing to be happening in an organisation like this. So there you go. Now you kind of know who to direct your questions to. I'm going to briefly describe how this webinar will work tonight. This is questions and answers, all right? So anytime you want to ask a question, go for it. Jump into the Q&A section down the bottom of your screen. There's a little button there. Throw your questions around and we will steer them to the right person, and hopefully you'll get the answers that you like. We've got a lot of different topics to discuss tonight, broken down kind of broadly into BHA's 3 key strategies, which are engage, educate, and enjoy. So basically, I encourage you all to keep sending questions at any time during the discussions. We can answer. Great question, guys. Thank you. I'm getting inappropriate questions on the bottom of my screen just to help me out. That's great. Hey, so just send through questions at any time. We'll steer them through to the right person during the discussions. Or there's a special question and answer section at the end of this webinar as well. There'll be plenty of time for questions and answers then. Cool. So let's move on. Let's talk about Engage, one of our key strategies. As you know, we've been doing a little bit of a membership review project recently. And I want to talk you through some of that stuff because that's been pretty cool. So for those of you who don't know, we are currently undertaking a really thorough investigation and consultation with regards to the future membership of BHA. And this is basically a response to the Barbershop Harmony Society's Everyone in Harmony membership strategy. So all members were sent out to their BHA email addresses a really important survey on the 12th of May, which forms an important component of this membership consultation process. So if you remember back, this was in response to requests from a lot of interested members who had read about, the Everyone in Harmony membership strategy. And we promised as a council to instigate a thorough investigation and consultation process with regards to the future membership of BHA so that we could work out what it is that you, the members, wanted to do in response to that strategy. So at the moment, we're doing things like a review that includes all facets of membership, the implications of governance, membership entitlements, association officers, structure, operational structures, competition structures, participation, partnerships, relationships with other organisations, and lots of different stuff. This is wide open for the membership to comment on and help us, decide where to steer this thing. So the recommendations that come from all of this consultation process will then be formed within the BHA strategic intent of enriching through harmony, and then we'll reflect with respect and integrity the majority wishes of the registered full members of the association. So the process has been going on. It's a little late, we'll grant that, but a lot of things are going a little late at the moment. And the COVID crisis didn't really help us in this process, but even so, we're still going pretty well. We're tracking pretty well. So what we want to do first is have a full understanding of the issues that are important to all members on this issue. We're going to attain those through multiple channels of membership engagement that allow members time to contribute to future recommendations. And these include things like surveys, forums and submissions, as well as international and national research. So what I might do now is hand over to the man who's been responsible for managing the survey component that we've just completed, because there's some really good stuff in that I think I'd like, you guys should know about. And I'm keen to have you, ask questions about this. And I'll hand over to Paul Adams, who's our VP membership now, to talk us through some of these survey results.
Thanks, Dan. The survey that we've carried out has been really terrific for us in terms of informing us on what's going on with regards to the thinking on this particular set of questions. We had 399 responses, so nearly 50% of our overall membership have responded. So it gives us great confidence that we've got some really terrific views in there. 38 of the choruses have responded, so at least someone from those choruses have responded. So we've got a deep spread across the nation. In terms of our age responses, our demographics, 70% were over 55 years of age, so it's not just a young person's response rate here, but actually quite a deep section of our long-term members. Full members accounted for 80% of the responses, so this really represents a pretty strong view of those people who are, if there is any constitutional change, going to be the people that are going to make those changes. The length of membership, well, over 40% have been members for greater than 11 years, and over 63% have been greater than 5 years. So some long-standing membership have been involved in understanding this particular survey. What I might do is just see if I can share a screen here which has the membership results. If I can, actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to speak to them, because I don't want to spend too much time looking at that. But what we've seen in terms of the themes is we've asked a series of questions which are really important in terms of us shaping what the issues are that we've got to deal with. The first question was around where are the organisational units, the clubs, the regions thinking at this stage in terms of our overall governance. And we saw some important factors. Regardless of how this thing came out, the concept of one BHA Council operating around Australia was very strongly supported. And that's encouraging, because it's really saying we want to stay together as an organisation to improve the way things are operating. A number of the clubs are very happy with where they sit, but there are some 60% that are suggesting, look, there's probably some changes that need to be done. We need some significant changes. We had about 35% response for that, and about 30% saying, look, there've been some good changes, but there's a few things to be done. The remainder, the other 30%, are saying, well, look, we're pretty happy with where things are. We've made changes, and certainly we also asked the question about, have we gone too far? And you had to respect those people. Some 7% said, look, we think we've gone a bit far here, and that's okay. That's things we need to understand as we move this forward, because there is no agenda per se. With the current membership structure seems to be working quite well. The important factors for the membership seem to be around attracting youth, encouraging men to sing, and just being relevant in the community, plus looking at membership expansion and meeting the sort of diversity requirements of the nation. Encouraging men to sing, that's a really important thing for us, isn't it, as an organisation? And certainly it's a personal passion of mine about how do we engage with youth? How do we get them to enjoy this wonderful, wonderful hobby that we explore? So what does that mean in terms of the sort of structure we're seeing? We're seeing a number of people, somewhere over 60%, saying, look, this is really important to me. So we know this is a critical conversation we want to have. And that's why we're taking the time to have the conversation. What else have we seen? Well, we've seen a general indication that a number of clubs are just going to stay like they are. They're very happy with that. But also a sense that the concepts of mixed harmony are still valued. Some 30% of clubs are suggesting they might move into that space, either through quartets or choruses. And that's then reflected when we look at our competition structures and a desire not only to engage in perhaps a more open championship, but also to make sure that we are facilitating opportunities for these broader, more diverse groups. Particularly at a men's and a mixed level, not so much at a pure female level, but we'll work our way through what those results mean. Look, overall, I think we've also seen some really rich commentary on the survey. And those messages, some of them about where do we want to go, some about things we can improve right now. And we want to make sure we're going through all of those to pull out those little ideas, many of which can bring about real value for the membership in terms of engagement and enjoyment and education and where we are. Probably the final thing I'd say is that this is just the start of this process. We've got a series of information which I've now put to the National Council. We're asking each of the National Council members to reflect on that information and see what themes that they are taking out from this. Early next week, we'll put out a email to all members seeking for any individual submissions. It can be structured the way you want to structure it. Tell us what you want to tell us so that we can bring that into the thought process. And from here, we'll take that information and start to build some themes that we are seeing coming from the overall survey and information that's been provided, so that we can then go back out and test those themes with the membership more broadly, with the clubs and individual clubs, before we start to even move into any sort of decision-making or discernment process about future direction. Look, it's an exciting time. It hasn't been without its challenges associated with the COVID-19 pandemic that we've been dealing with. And yet it's, in many ways, whilst it's kept us apart, I think it's also given us an opportunity to explore different ways of connecting with members, that such as these sorts of forums, that hopefully will stand the test of time and continue to really allow us to engage in this membership conversation, but in all the things that we're doing which impact our membership in our future. Happy to take any questions, Dan. Your turn to unmute.
Sounds good, mate. You might want to unmute your microphone, Mr. President.
The oldest trick in the book. Oh, no, what a rookie move that was. It's really exciting to hear some of that feedback that we've got. And as you said, you've passed through to us a lot of the comments and the results from the survey so far, and that's just making for some fascinating reading. There's some excellent opinions, some excellent suggestions in there. I do encourage everybody to jump in next week when you get an invitation. Send in a submission, send in your thoughts so that we can add that to the intelligence that we already have to help guide some of this decision making. So that's a pretty exciting thing. I'm looking forward to hearing some of your questions and answers on that. I'll just see that we've got one popped in down here. So Paul, Ian Mulholland has asked a question here, and we've heard a little bit about demographics, but can we hear a little bit of, is there any more depth that you'd like to share with us about the survey results at this time?
Look, there's particular questions. I guess if there's a particular question that people are interested in, I'd be really happy to dive into that. You know, certainly what we've seen is, for example, we talked about what are the 3 most important aspects of membership requiring review, and inclusion comes up absolutely number 1. Some 60% of, or in fact, some 70% of respondents have said we've got to look at that issue as an issue for membership. Attracting youth is the next highest. Membership expansion is the next highest. Voting rights. So when it all settles, who's going to vote? How are we going to vote? What is membership going to look like? Is clearly coming up. And then finally, just being relevant in the community. I think that's why we're part of this conversation right now. Now we hear a lot of stuff around diversity, inclusion, and these things, and these are questions that we've been challenged with and asked to explore. So that's why we're doing that. So from a membership perspective, they seem to be really, really important things to the members. As a result of that, when we've been asked questions about, is there some groups looking at expansion into mixed, some 30% of clubs are suggesting that that's an area that they're looking at. Slightly more strongly in the quartet area, but still expanded and noted within the chorus area. But there's a third that are saying, well, we're actually really happy with where we are. And so our challenge will be, how do we, as we move forward, how do we understand what that means, what that can mean to us as an organisation, and what should we be then looking at to accommodate that, make options occur that the membership as a whole are happy with, that sets our future direction.
Great, Paul. And we've got for those of you on the BHA website, this project plan is available for you to check out. It's got all the different phases of the project with likely timeframes. Remember, we're a little behind on some of the timeframes, but we're still aiming for a December 2020 AGM presentation of all this information. I just see a question here about how the survey results will be translated into action by the National Council, and you'd probably be able to find that in the project plan too, but we can touch through that just in phase 2 here. Paul, we talk about the formulation side of things. Do you want to just make a few comments there?
So thanks, Dan. It's a great question because ultimately, and who's from? Chris, thanks very much.
Good question.
It's a great question because ultimately, we've identified these phases of this project importantly because each one needs a conversation. The next phase is really for your council to work through this information and say, look, these are the key themes. Here's the survey information that backs that up. Here's where this result came from. This is where this thinking was rooted in. And then we can say, okay, let's talk about these themes. At the moment, we're talking about membership, very, very broadly. And some of the commentary we've got is incredibly valuable, but not particularly about, should we have women involved or should we have different genders involved? So it's quite broad. So we're going to bring those themes into a bit of a focus. And then from that focus, then the next, having looked at that and gathered that feedback, it will then be a case of, okay, we've now got some focus. What do we actually want to recommend? And that is what then comes out to the members to decide the future of BHA. So hopefully that answers that question.
Thanks, Paul, and thanks, Chris. That's a really good question, really good question. I guess, too, we want to just make sure that everybody's really clear. This isn't secret information, so we will be making sure that we share all of these results as part of the decision-making process and as part of all of the resources and different scenarios that are presented. They will all be backed up by this information and the survey responses, and look, we're not keeping anything secret. So if that helps to make you feel a little more comfortable, that's kind of a rough translation of how we're going to translate that stuff. The survey results, of course, are only part of that process, though. We do have, other consultative forums and the submissions that we're going to ask for next week. So that's good. Good. Thanks, Paul.
Pleasure.
You're off the hook for 5 minutes. Folks, I guess one of the most important things that we want to pass on as a leadership team is to do with the recent pandemic that we have seen. And look, for people like us who love to sing with others, the expert view on whether we should do so during the coronavirus pandemic has been less than optimistic. And the opinion is that now is a pretty risky time to try and belt out a tune together. So in the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, several clusters and subsequent deaths within choirs in the United States and the Netherlands provided a frightening wake-up call for the choral community. And BHA was really concerned to hear those overseas reports of COVID-19 community infection, transmission within those choirs. And look, the early research which suggested that singing is a higher risk activity. So some experts have even described choirs as super spreaders, which is, not necessarily helpful. This is balanced against the conflicting overseas advice by the US Centers for Disease Control, suggesting that there's no greater risk from singing to other environments. And of course, they lack the Australian and New Zealand context, where the response and containment of the infection have been very different to the USA and the UK. So since then, people have been asking BHA when or if they'll be able to sing face-to-face again, and they've been asking about the specific risks associated with singing. Clubs and members are now looking for specific information about how to rehearse, what's the ideal duration of practice sessions, what's the number of singers who can come together safely, and how we can all get back to the business of singing barbershop. So over the course of the past 8 weeks, we've sought official guidance on the risks and mitigations that can be established for singers to enable a safe return to the hobby that we love so much and that we know supports the well-being not only of us as participants, but for our audiences as well. I don't think I'm alone in feeling a little low, without being able to get out and have a sing with my pals. So, I think we all know about the well-being aspect. But listen, it's important that you understand BHA is not and doesn't wish to be a medical or an epidemic expert. All right, we rely solely on the advice that we're provided by health professionals. So over the last while, we've made approaches to the Department of Health, the Chief Medical Officer, the Office for the Arts, State, Commonwealth ministers, all over the place. But we've been able to get unable to secure a really definitive answer about this whole super spreader and how safe is it to go back to choir singing. The realistic answer is we simply don't know. And I think that we need to come out and say that. The quantitative data just doesn't exist. But there is certainly a large amount of guidance in place after the Commonwealth Government and many state and territory governments recently began to release their roadmaps to recovery, meaning that we can start the planning process for our return to singing. The Commonwealth Government roadmap provides for a release of restrictions and an increase in permitted activities and numbers of people that can come together to allow the measured resumption of these community activities. Each state has got its own similar but local resumption plan. So the best advice that we are officially able to provide is that we all must follow our own state or territory government health directives and guidelines. Like so many other coronavirus imposed changes, singing in a chorus will require us to adapt. In order to resume gathering, each club will need to understand and respond to the local and state government requirements in their own jurisdiction. Each club will need to prepare and develop a plan, including risk assessments, hygiene controls and social distancing, to operate in a COVID-safe way to protect their members, volunteers, their guests, their directors, coaches, their audiences, and anyone else engaged or involved in their activities. Local venues will need to do similarly. So the National COVID-19 Coordination Commission has released a planning tool to assist businesses to develop COVID-safe plans. And we're going to email out a copy of that template to all clubs just to make it easier so you can see the sorts of stuff that you need to do. Safe Work Australia has also got a range of guidance and protocols for office environments, workplaces and training environments. And we'll send you around that link as well. We've been advised that the Australian Arts Council is working with various peak bodies from the arts sector to develop a set of industry protocols around activities such as singing. However, we do not really have an expected completion date. A lot of this stuff takes some time. There are also overseas studies going on at the moment that might be helpful in some ways, but as I've already mentioned, they do lack the Australian context. We responded very differently here to other countries, and so we are not comparing apples to apples if we use other countries' experiences to inform our own reaction. But the prevailing government and health authority view is that success depends on maintaining new community norms, physical distancing, good hygiene practices, and downloading the COVID Safe app. However, the implementation and achievement of these objectives rests with the management groups and individuals that make up each club. There is one thing that's constantly stated. If you're within a vulnerable group, you should take specific care and make personal decisions on your own activities. Follow your local regulations and guidelines to help reduce the spread of COVID-19, maintain social distancing, practice good hygiene, keep yourself educated and informed. Look, one of the main things to remember, of course, is that if you feel sick, stay at home and immediately seek medical attention. The BHA National Council is of the view that restrictions are here for the long term, but we are now starting to plan for the activities that can continue to encourage active participation, collaboration and engagement in barbershop harmony across Australia. And this tonight is just one of those various forms. We're putting 100% of our energy into looking for ways to maintain our barbershop hobby in a new COVID environment. Thorough planning is required and the commitment to risk mitigation must be unwavering. And your National Council will continue to share information as it becomes available. So what we'll do is we'll send out some links to all clubs so that you can check in and do that. Most rehearsal venues are now beginning to ask for COVID safe plans before clubs are allowed to resume rehearsing. And it just gets you thinking about some of those things like social distancing, hygiene, that sort of stuff. There's nothing too hard about them. To fill out a plan on the template that we're going to send through, it takes about 20-25 minutes. It's pretty simple stuff, but it's pretty important stuff. So again, I do really encourage all clubs to take that very, very, very seriously. All right, see, we've got a couple of questions on this. Peter Hall tells us that the Sunshine Statesmen have had their first face-to-face rehearsal this week, but it was held outdoors and limited to 20 people with social distancing in place and following all the Queensland government guidelines. The COVID-19 plan was in place in writing and all members were ecstatic to sing together again. I bet you were. Oh man, I can't wait to get back to it. Next month, we hope more of us can get to sing together with level 3 easing rules. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I look forward to hearing from lots more clubs about how you're going in your return to kind of normal activities. It'll be a lot of fun to see everyone singing back together again. So thanks for that. Just moving on quickly to the next topic, I would like to let you know, keep sending in the questions. There's some good stuff coming in, so thank you for participating. Use the Q&A function down the bottom of your screen. It's really encouraging to see people participating. I thought I'd just touch base as far as collaboration with Sweet Adeline's Australia Region 34. You might be interested to know. So basically, we have an upcoming meeting with the executive of Region 34. We're going to get together and discuss lots of opportunities for cooperation. We're going to talk about the BHA membership survey, a combined youth project, and basically we're just going to look for ways that Barbershop Harmony Australia and Sweet Adeline's Australia can work together to really help all of us at this time get back to singing and doing what we love to do. So that's just a little, and also that you might be interested in. Another thing that we're doing, I've just mentioned, a combined youth project that we've got coming up. So Trevor Roots was a primary school principal. Is that right, Trevor? Trevor's either frozen or he doesn't. He can't even. Well, you're a principal of a school, Trevor. Is that right?
I was a principal of a secondary school in Hobart. Yep. A
secondary school, so a really good experience in youth. Trev, you might want to talk us through our new, the development of our new youth policy.
Yes, I would. Very happy to do that. So what you would have heard Paul say, that attracting youth is one of the main issues that came out from the membership review. So keeping that in mind, one of the things that we're looking at from next year is that BHA will intensively support one target school in each region to help that target school introduce Barbershop. Now, the notion is that BHA will provide resources that'll include coaches, music, learning tracks. Our objective would be during that year to embed some Barbershop into the school choir's overall repertoire. We're not setting out to take over the choir with Barbershop. So we'll also provide Barbershop education for the target teacher or teachers, including teacher scholarships to Harmony Academy as one of our strategies there. And the end point will be at a virtual national contest. So in the first year, 6 or 7 choruses from across the 6 or 7 youth choirs from across the country into a virtual contest to coincide with our national festival. Now, using this approach, we anticipate that over the next few years, we would embed Barbershop singing in a constantly growing number of schools. And perhaps, within 5 years, we might have 20 schools that are consistently participating in Barbershop. Now, in line with what Dan has just, his previous comment, we are looking at this as a collaboration with Sweet Adelines, and it's one of the issues that they're interested in, and we'll be taking this up with them as a collaborative approach. So that's where I'm at with that. Dan, thank you.
Thanks very much, Trev. That's good. That's really, really exciting to hear. Folks, just so that you know, we will be putting the coronavirus statement online and sending that out with links to all clubs so that you've got the details of that position as well as a way to find out how to get your templates and things like that. And we've got a question that's come through from John and Claudio in Wollongong, members of the Wollongong Men's Barbershop Chorus. We know that the Eastern Region Chairman wasn't available, Richard Bordick, but wondering if you can perhaps give a quick breakdown of the Eastern Region as a member of the Eastern Region Board.
Oh, yes, yeah, happy to, and yeah, thanks, Claudia. Yeah, so we've, put on the spot a little bit here, but I think we're pretty close behind Sunshine Region in terms of probably being the second biggest region in BHA. We've got, I think it's 7 or 8 choruses last count, and around about 220 members. So it's pretty strong in New South Wales and Eastern Region. So we've got some pretty vibrant clubs and choruses. Some have been around for a long time and pretty strong. A really strong youth chorus at the moment. That's only been around probably for about 5 or 6 years. And there are some that are struggling a bit as well, and others that we probably don't see too often because they don't come to our contests, but very involved with their local communities, and such as Sydney Siders Express, who raise something in the vicinity of about $10,000 or $15,000 per year, I believe, for their local charities. So it's pretty strong here in the east.
Great, thanks very much, Richard. That's good stuff to hear. Hope that answered your question, John and Claudia. Hey, moving on, we've got some stuff under our Educate. Remember, Educate and Enjoy. So under our Educate banner, we've got a few exciting things to tell you about. One of the first things is, I'm not sure how many of you are fully aware of our Harmony Academy brand, but this is basically described as the overarching education arm of Barbershop Harmony Australia. So anything that you guys want to learn about your singing, stagecraft, coaching, judging, anything at all to do with your musical education comes under the general banner of Harmony Academy. And what I wouldn't mind doing now is throwing across to Dan Beckett, who at the moment is looking after some of this Harmony Academy stuff, and just get him to tell us about some of the stuff that's coming up.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So some of you will no doubt be aware that we have started up a Friday night regular event called BHA Live. So this was something that we came up with as a concept to help us stay engaged while we were socially distant. It's also something that was perhaps a bit of a temporary replacement for our scheduled national education faculty visits, because obviously we couldn't be sending educators around the country while we were all in lockdown. So what we've done is we've had I think about 5 or 6 weeks of these so far. On the Friday night, we've covered a few sessions, things like creating ideas for online rehearsals, tips for rehearsing from home, basic music theory, using comedy in your performance, vocal health, all those sort of things is what we've had so far. We've also got a bunch of other topics in the pipeline coming up for future sessions, which are things like directing skills. We're going to have a session where we have a judge from each category come and give a bit of an overview on what they're looking for as judges, and a bit of a behind the scenes on how they might judge a performance. Sessions on arranging, vocal production, sight singing. We have a stack of things coming up, and there'll be something, I'm sure, for anybody who is interested in attending one of these sessions. So these are regularly on a 7:30 on a Friday night. So primarily we're looking at getting a lot of our national education faculty people on board, but we are also going to look abroad and try and get some specialists in from BHS on top of that. So what I'd like to put the call out to all the members now who might be interested in coming along to a session. Feel free to send through any suggestions you've got or something you'd like to see come up in a session. Just send it through to me. You can reach me via marketing@barbershop.org.au. Or you can just get in touch and drop a message to our Facebook page in the messenger window there. So we're happy to take any suggestions on board. It might even be something we've already got planned in the near future. So another bit of news around that too, while I'm wrapping up, is we actually have every session that we put on Zoom in the BHA Live series is also been archived to our YouTube channel. So what I will do is I'll put a link to that. I'll see if I can multitask. Yes, I can. A link to this is now coming up in the chat window. So if you want to go back and see any of our previous sessions, you can just look us up on YouTube. So follow the link in the chat or go to youtube.com and search for Barbershop Harmony Australia, and you'll find everything on there. I'll throw it back to you now, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. Fantastic. And as Dan said, that stuff is available there. There's some really good stuff from, things to do as a leader of an organisation during the COVID-19 kind of restrictions, to stuff that you can do personally. Like, there was a great session on music theory by Ian Mulholland. So lots of different, a variation in topics there. There's sure to be something that suits everybody. We had a really good question for those of you who aren't paying attention to the chat window, was about the schools concept and how will the schools be chosen and how will the implementation within the school be driven. And so the answer to that, Trevor Roots has answered here that we're going to call nominations. Obviously, we're going to work very closely with our regional chairman to identify schools in their regions that might be good targets. And then we'll have a selection process with a set of criteria to be met to get through that process. So that answers that one for you. Hey, while we're talking about the Friday night sessions, I might just let you know, when we lived in a different world before COVID-19, we had a group of some of Australia's finest barbershop specialists with loads of experience and successes in their own right, working with BHA to build stronger clubs through vocal, musical and management training, that they could come out to each club individually once a year, free of charge, and provide those sorts of services. That national education faculty is what we call that, and they also act as an ear to hear like your feedback to help us devise more successful festivals, more appropriate workshops, things that you'd like to see in that Harmony Academy branding. And so the good news is that even though those guys can't come and see you, jump on a plane and come and visit each club, each of those guys is still available. And I do encourage you to jump onto the BHA website, have a look at, there's a good range of people there with many, many different skills, and they would all be very keen to hook up and Zoom with you and, socially distancing permitting, maybe even able to come out and still meet with your clubs and help you out with some of that stuff. So that's important. While we're talking about education, let's talk about Harmony University in Nashville in 2020. one of the things that we have been able to do is secure for you a member discount to attend Harmony University in Nashville. Now, for those of you who are a little unaware what that might actually be, let me talk you through it. Harmony University is just one of the most amazing experiences that I've ever attended. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people take over the university campus in Tennessee, and every classroom, every foyer, every stairwell, every room is full of barbershop education. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience. Obviously, this year it can't happen because of COVID-19. So what we're doing instead is a virtual Harmony University, bringing Harmony University experiences into your home, live and online. So BHA members can get special member discounts to attend this, and the prices range from about $59 to attend a virtual choir experience with Deek Sharon, up to about $249 to attend absolutely everything. Over 90 live interactive 50-minute classes that you can attend. A lot of these things will be available via delay, so I do encourage you to jump online and have a look at that. You can jump on to barbershop.org events/virtual Harmony University. I will put that link into the chat as well. Cool, and that'll be a lot of fun. Hey, Paul, there's some leadership stuff that that people could certainly take advantage of in some of that, as well as Harmony Academy. Harmony University's got some pretty, some really, really outstanding leadership courses and classes, particularly at a time when there are some serious challenges facing any leadership.
Yeah, certainly they do, Dan. And we've been starting to look at curating a number of these resources to see if we can bring them to clubs. Look, every club understands the challenges that you're dealing with on a day-by-day basis. And our ability to lead that forward means we've got to develop our skills and keep focusing on what are the things we're doing right in that space. So I really encourage people to ponder that, look into the Harmony University opportunities that are there. And in particular, if you've got any particular leadership challenges that you are looking at, that you're finding in your club, please send them through to us, send them through to the Harmony educators that we've got. We've got a lot of experience we can draw on there. And as a separate issue, we're also looking to see if we can develop a little bit of an audit tool to assist clubs to identify where there might be some opportunities for growth in their leadership areas. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Paul. That's really good. Dan, Beckett, mate, there's also some really good music leadership courses that are available for members who aren't interested in leadership training.
Yeah, that's right, Dan. There is literally dozens and dozens of different obviously music-related courses, but so it's not all specifically in a leadership slant. I had a bit of a quick look through earlier to see what sort of things might be interesting, and these are a few things that I think might be useful to sort of more general members. But again, there's a few from a list of many, many different electives that are available during this virtual Harmony University. So there's things like basics of judging categories for beginning judges, things for what to listen for while coaching. So that's for anyone who might be interested in perhaps moving into a bit of a coaching space. There is quartet fixes when there's no coach in sight. And I know that for a lot of us who are quartetters, we often have to try and coach internally. So that would be quite useful. There's another interesting course called How Is That Barbershop with a guy by the name of Kevin Keller. That's where he goes through and listens to maybe some more popular songs and helps you understand a bit better how that actually fits into the barbershop genre. There is 5 steps to effortless and impactful singing with Ryan Wozniewski, and I'm sure I've pronounced that incorrectly. There is a class that I'll be very interested in called social media. Maybe I'm one of the few who'll be interested in that one, but I'm sure that most clubs do have some people who look after the marketing. So that sort of thing will be very interesting too. There's the class called the Effective Music Leadership Team, and I'm sure that will be a great one for all clubs to encourage their music team or at least their music VPs to attend. There is one by a class being run by our own Sarah Bradley, who I believe is in the attendees list tonight. She's doing a class called Stress and Effort, the role of the false vocal folds in vocal production. Very exciting to see some more Aussies on getting up in, and presenting courses online. We've also got one called Debunking Barber Myths with Rob Mance and Kevin Keller. And those who are at Harmony Academy a couple of years ago might have been fortunate enough to get Rob Mance and Kevin Keller on staff for those, and you know they're great educators. There's quite a few. I've just literally scratched the surface of those, and if you have a look at the link I put in the chat a little while ago, you can have a look for yourself and just see there's so much on offer for this. It's really something you don't want to miss.
Thanks, Dan. Some good stuff there, and that does go throughout the month of July. Now, we've got a quick question here about, will anyone be touching on the new copyright licensing? As the question points out, this is a new process with the new One Music Australia license. We won't be touching on that tonight because we don't want to give you faulty advice. We'll be having a look at that and working out exactly what that means for clubs and choruses. So we will take that one on notice if that's all right. Thanks, Peter Hall, though. Great question. Great question. Hey, here's something else I'd like to share with you, and this is going to be pretty exciting. 4th of July, American Independence Day. It will be here, but on the previous night in America, it will be the 3rd of July. And there's a pretty exciting show coming up called This Is the Moment. It's a show put on by the Association of International Champions. This is something you can watch in the comfort of your own home. It's going to be a brilliant show. It's got so many international champion quartets appearing, from Signature, Forefront, Interstate Rivals, Crossroads, Instant Classic, OC Time, Stormfront, After Hours, Main Street, Masterpiece, and Focal Spectrum. So, hey, pretty good show. There's going to be lots of other fun stuff happening through that show. So I recommend you all get in and sign up. It is a free show, but jump in, sign up, make sure you get one of those spaces. It'll be a fantastic show, and we'll all sit around at 6 o'clock in the morning here in Australia watching a great show. Cool. Richard, you've got some exciting news to share with us too about things that are coming up in BHA.
Yeah, I certainly have. Yeah, thanks, Dan. And if you saw the town hall, the last town hall was about 6 weeks ago, you would have heard me mention the National Quartet E-Challenge, which is kind of more or less taking the place of our of the PanPac convention. So this is well, I guess I'm really pleased to announce the pre-launch, if you like, not the launch. The official launch will happen in the next couple of weeks. We're still in development, but I think we're around about 90% the way we want this. So I just wanted to just cover off what the 220 BHA National Quartet E-Challenge is all about. So it'll be a fun, friendly, flexible, video entry only activity to give active or aspiring quartets the platform to perform for their peers and promote our art form whilst we're still under pandemic restrictions. So I'm just going to cover off, just in the interest of time, because I noticed it's just about 8:30. I'll try and truncate this, but I really wanted to whet your appetite tonight. So I'm just going to cover off the eligibility. So all members are welcome to submit videos of themselves performing in quartets. So it is a quartets only challenge. And whilst this event is not an official BHA contest, and it's really flexible, there's got to be some rules, right? So I'll just cover off, and there's only a few rules. So entries for quartets only, whether you're registered or not. Okay, so you don't have to be a registered quartet in this challenge. There'll be one entry per quartet per song category. Okay, however, up to 3 members of a quartet can perform in up to 3 other quartets. So pretty much, if you're a quartet and you wanted just to interchange your lead, you could do that up to 4 times and still submit an entry. Songs performed must be in unaccompanied 4-part harmony and meet the good taste criteria. We're all familiar with that one. And the guidelines for video recording and submissions are pretty much along the lines of the Standing Order 7.6. So if you wanted to just have a look at that over the next couple of weeks. Registration, there's no registration, there's no entry form, and there's no registration fees. How about that? That's great. Now the categories. Now this is the really interesting part. So the official categories are the ones we're familiar with. We've got open category. We've got male open. We've got male youth, male senior. Then we've also got the mixed open, mixed youth, and mixed senior. And we'll also have a female open youth and senior categories. Now we're also going to throw in there a novice category. So that's a quartet that has not previously competed in a BHA contest. And also a newbies So there's a difference. There's a novice, newbies. Newbies is a quartet where none of the members have previously competed in a quartet. So lots of different entry categories there. The other thing we're introducing to this E-Challenge is the variety of songs that you can perform. And this time we're going to allow tags. So if you just wanted to come along, well, not come along, but submit a video entry of your quartet singing a tag, that's quite acceptable. There'll be awards for, you know, best tag. There'll be awards for best ballad, uptune, comedy, or, you know, parody song. We'll even allow you to submit a non-barbershop song, as long as it's a cappella. How about this? Original song. So, you know, you could be up for an award for best original song and a new arrangement. So an arrangement that hasn't been used before in any type of contest. So, look, there may be categories we haven't even thought of yet, and a lot of that will be dictated by you. You might come up with something and say, "Hey, we're going to enter this category." So, look, you don't have to write anything down. This has been recorded anyway, but the official launch will happen in the next couple of weeks. So just watch out for that. There will be, as I said, there will be awards for best in each category, and there will also be a Grand E champion, and that will be the best overall barbershop performance for the whole event. Now, the Grand E champion quartet will be eligible to perform in the Saturday night public concert at the next BHA festival, scheduled for September 2021 on the Gold Coast. Now, more about that in a few minutes. I think we're going to hear from Trevor Brugger. So that's just a little promo for that. Look, in interest of time, I might just leave that right there. Also, just wanted to mention very quickly, again, the next event we're looking at for November is the Barbershop Pub Chorus. And this is an event, you know, where you have lots of barbershoppers come along with, and also lots of ordinary members of the local community will come along. They'll gather together to learn and sing a barbershop arrangement in about 90 minutes. So in conjunction with the Movember charity fundraiser, we'll be conducting several pub choruses simultaneously across Australia. So this is the vision. We'll all be learning the same song, and we hope to get some media coverage of the event at that time. Haven't got a date yet, but obviously sometime in November. There will be an entry fee, and funds raised will be donated to Movember to raise awareness of men's health issues. The challenge for everyone, of course, will be the pandemic restrictions that may still be in place, and also perhaps venue costs. But I'll be working with regional boards and clubs to work out what's possible over the next few months.
Oh, wait, there's more. You also get a free set of steak knives. Hey, thanks, Richard, for telling us all about those two pretty exciting things. Too long didn't read. Short story is we've got a quartet E-Challenge coming up. There are no rules. Anybody can enter. Do whatever you like. Send in your recordings to us. We'll work out how to judge it, and you can win a prize. There you go. Also, a national pub chorus, which is going to be pretty exciting. Everybody all over Australia singing in a pub at about the same time over the same weekend. It'll be a lot of fun. We're going to do that in combination with Movember campaign. So that's going to be really, really good. Hey, the next big thing that we're planning for too is, I don't know how many of you were at the Russell Jones talked before about being at the very first national convention in 1991 on the Gold Coast. Well, coming up next year, we have our 30th anniversary convention festival on the Gold Coast. Trevor Brugger is going to give us 1 minute or less on why we all should go and start getting ready to head to the Gold Coast in September 2021.
The reason why you should go is because you haven't been there since 2005, which was my first convention, and it's going to be fantastic. Just recently, they've spent about $300 million renovating the casino. They've done everything from the rooms. They've built a brand new residential building called The Darling. And that's right, Daniel Milgate, the darling. And at the top of that, there is a restaurant and bar called 19. Now, no secrets there. It's called 19 because it's on the 19th level, and that is where we'll be having the President's reception. It's of course, it's open to the public, and it overlooks the beach and the Affinity swimming pool. The theatre is going to be absolutely fabulous. It is a proper performing theatre where they hold proper events and shows and theatre type stuff, and it seats about 1,300 people. They've got ballrooms. All casinos have ballrooms, but they've got some fantastic restaurants. So the great thing about this casino is, for your partners, there is a shopping centre right across the road, and it is very, very big. It's the biggest in the Southern Hemisphere, and it's called Pacific Fair. They have also spent about $300-400 million there in the last 5 years too. Now, the best thing about this location is you don't have to leave the casino if you don't want to. But if you do want to leave the casino, it's right on the tram line. Now, that tram line goes south to hopefully Burleigh by then, probably not, probably just Pacific Fair across the road. But it will go north all the way to Helensvale train station, and then you catch a train to Brisbane. But the accommodation in Broadbeach, you can stay at the casino. If you want to stay at a youth hostel, you can stay at a youth hostel, or you can stay at the 6-star Versace. All of those options are on the tram line. Gold Coast 2021, be there.
Thanks, Trev. The really exciting stuff. Hey, I'll touch on one more exciting. It's got to do with the enjoyment factor, and that is that we're about to launch a new merchandise section on our website. The website's being redone. It'll be brand new and exciting. There'll be a great big button on there that says buy your merchandise now. You too can be part of the Barbershop tribe. So I will send you more information about that in newsletters to come. Just a quick recap on some of the exciting stuff we've talked about tonight. We had a good rundown on the membership review project. We've talked about COVID-19. We had to do it. We've talked about collaborating with Sweet Adelines, our youth policy, Harmony Academy, the Friday night sessions, which will be ongoing. I encourage you to join us here next Friday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Same place, same channel. We've talked about Harmony University in Nashville. The links are in the chat. We'll be sending those links around to you too. Jump in and grab those member prices. Don't forget to watch the AIC Gold Show. It'll be fantastic. The Quartet E-Challenge is coming up. The new merchandise, the National Pub Chorus, the Gold Coast 30th Anniversary Festival coming up. That's me. Bits of paper everywhere. I think that's it. We've had lots of good questions tonight. Thank you one and all for joining us. We're very excited to have this level of engagement. Don't forget you can always jump on the BHA website and send us emails at any time about anything. We're always here to answer you. And it's been great talking to you tonight. We look forward to seeing you again next Friday night. This has been BHA Live. Good night.